Good afternoon. It's Friday. Sorry for the false start. It was counting down. It was doing its thing, as you know. There was a little time at the start. It was counting down, and then my PC blue screened, and well, that was the end of that. So here we are for real this time round. Only a couple of minutes late, so hopefully no one minds too much. We are going to continue along the path of... Oops, it's upside down. And it's not upside down for you, it's upside down for me. There we go. Triangle number 30. For it is the thing to finish. So let's try and centre this a little bit more. Let's actually move that way. That's better. Right. Are you stable? Yes, pretty much. So, let's have a look. Where did we get to? I think we will. Originally I was going to go across. I'm going to go down now. So I will need most of you. You need to go outside the elastic for a minute. I'm going to need all of you, bar the last one. Let's take you out like this. I'll take you out just because it's easy to do so. Scoot you round. You're all looking really tangly. And you're really long. And I know we dealt with that yesterday a few times. So let's put you down a second and bring you back around because you're not so bad. It's this mess that's the problem. You're clearly part of that, but have fallen out and have got tangled because only bobbins can. Right, you're there. You need to go, I think, in about there. Right there, so let's squish you down a bit to help keep you flat. That's a good thing. Put you down and round, and then you over there. I would say you like that. There, that's good. We like that. Some of you are still a bit long. Drops it. There we go. And maybe you up just a little like that. And then we will need you to be over there. Right. Like that. Now, I'm not convinced you are entirely a pair, but you are. So, there we go. Sort everything out a bit, and off we go. Cross all these before we forget. You're now suddenly really long. And off we go. Did a bit of my strip earlier, and trying to incorporate a few more experiments along the way. as to what I will do in the final variety, for it matters, doesn't it? It does matter what we do in the long run. I say that, there are things you can do afterwards, obviously. You can go back and add some colour by wrapping threads around things, and a bit like knitting, almost do the kind of overlay stitch. So wrap some threads around to make them pretty colours later in life, but I don't really want to be doing that. Really don't understand why bobbins have this amazing ability to want to grow randomly and get longer just because it's annoying. Because you can only really work with them when they're all a similar length. Some of it is the rolling, but not a lot. It is somewhat frustrating. So I know you've grown when you're off the bottom, when you're poking off the bottom of the cushion. Isn't it funny how if you have one of these, it's a pin cushion. If you have a cushion for your couch, it can be this big and it's a cushion. But when it's a lace making thing, it's a pillow. Now, I know that, like everything, there are somewhere a definition. So, when does a hill become a mountain? When does a pond become a lake? And all that. I know there are some. But at the same time, you know, I'm not aware of the exact numbers. It's like the pond stroke lake next door. Anything you need a boat on, in my opinion, becomes a lake. So the fact that they've got a boat to cross to get to the middle, it's a lake now. It's like you hear a fish pond, but you never hear the word fish lake, do you? The dogs are enjoying a sunny afternoon in the garden. So I'm just checking something on my phone. Some weird guy knocking on the door of my old house in an incredibly badly fitting shirt. Not that that, makes or breaks the reason for a call, but, Sit still, animal. For goodness sake. She does this so much. Gets on, gets off, gets on, gets off. Afternoon, Naughty Cat. How are you? Amy. Oh, shut up. Oh, it sounds like the garden dudes here. See that, or it's the bin people. Now, normally I'd go with the garden dude because it's Friday, but because it was a bank holiday, our bins were done today. So, you know what? Either way, I don't care. I hear bins moving, but that could be anything. That's next door putting the bins away. Because they're nice people. Just shut up, please, animal. So how's Naughty Cat today? Well, I'm off out for tea later, so... I will either be lovely and fed, or remarkably hungry when I return home. Yes, it got moved to this evening. Amy? Darling? Yes. There is a dog. Yes. It's you. Yes, it's in my face. Patience of dog whines is at a considerable low today. Isn't it? Yes. It is. It's a very considerable low. Yes. For there is dog. There is a little whiny brown dog. Yes. Who has much to say. And I have no idea what about. Other than, yes, the bin is now back where it should be. Oh look. Co-worker ping. Push. Oh, piss off. It's really amazing how you can have something lengthways on a shelf and it can still fall off. I want to push you down a bit. And the easiest thing to go through there was that. Looks like there's a bit of a screw up somewhere back there, but right, time to put you away anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, when right, we all know that paranoia is when you think people are out to get you, but they're not. And that it's not really paranoia when it's true. Now, as part of my insecurities and all the rest of it, hang on. I don't take praise very well. Very poorly, in fact. But at the same time, if I put in effort and someone else puts in effort and they get praise and I don't, I feel really hurt. But if they give me praise, I'd be really embarrassed. Right? So, you know, this is a recurring theme in my head and the problems that my head gives me. And very recently, I did something, and a guy at work, who's a renowned bit of a pain in the arse, actually, was really thankful. And I know, and let's wind back a bit, co-worker who pings me, did some work with a person at work, and at the end of it, got them to write into a company feedback email. And they got a big company-wide shout-out. My dude, wrote into the same company-wide feedback. I did not. And once again, someone else has done work with the same dude. Boss has called out same dude's praise, not mine. And it's hard not to feel that there's an element personal in that. Now, my co-worker, being a good friend, has kind of gone, well, actually, you know, at least they're out in the garden again now. But at the same time, there's a big bit of me that goes, isn't it funny how it's mine that goes missing? Or mine that was never received? Or, you know, isn't it always how it's mine? And when I do something really impressive, everyone just kind of goes, oh, we expected that. And I get very tired of that. I struggle with that a lot. Because yes, I may be better than some of the other people. Yes, I may be more intelligent than some of the other people. But that still doesn't mean you shouldn't say thank you. Oh, stop pinging me, dude. For me, it's more the fact that why is it when someone does their job, oh, how special of them. When I go above and beyond and do shit that's not my job, oh, well, never mind. It's not, as I've said, you know, for me, it's very difficult. I'm not comfortable to a large amount with praise because I don't know what to do with it. But what I do suffer from is, but I'm no different. Why is it that whenever Joe Bloggs does his job, there's a freaking ticker tape parade? Whenever, basically anyone else does their job, oh, clappy clappy, almost have a party. When Liz feeds the 5,000s with a peanut, oh, well, never mind. It leaves you feeling somewhat unappreciated. And as I've said, if it come out, I'd have been embarrassed. But the fact that this dude's had 2 for doing his job, kind of rubs it in a little, And given that the same the same guy actually is the one that's got my friend the kudos, we know that the emailer works. It's not blocked. It's not, It's funny how they get that one. You lose your marbles, have 6 months off with stress trying to kill yourself. That's how I coped with it. I didn't. It's the short answer. Yeah. I will say that I once had a Freelander, and it was kind of a deep mahogany red, and I did joke that it would nicely hide the blood splatters. But I also remember saying about someone who used to get on my nerves an awful lot. That if they ever stepped out in front of my car and I braked, I would be disappointed. Now, we all know it is a natural reaction, but that doesn't mean you can't be disappointed in yourself for a missed opportunity. It has caused me a lot of turmoil over the years, and so does getting fucking so many pings from this dude sometimes. I think what made it worse was that my co-worker who's sending me the pings mentioned after getting the thing from boss, oh, you know you had one about Les, and he's like, no. Bit odd, because, you know, I'm pretty sure one was sent. Oh well. You know, surely boss should be going off checking, not just going, oh well. You know, it... And then says, well, it would have been good to have. Well, yes, because it makes him look good, but he's not doing anything. He's not the one doing it. But of course it makes him look good that we're all loved and adored by the client, you know. Yeah, but we were the client's property before you took over. Yeah, kinda. not right. Oh, look. I really don't understand how 99.9% of the spam bots that come to this channel say cheap or best viewers on something along the lines of streambo.com, remove the space, at, and a bunch of random letters. Therefore, best viewers, cheap viewers, and combinations of the true and remove the space generally are banned phrases on my channel. Well, there is that. But if I can catch them with a simple bunch of things, why can't Twitch, you know? It just seems really stupid that I can catch them with their own tools. You know? What? He's having a bit of a tough time. He's got to do some work on a server, and he's a database dude, so he's got to do some work on his databases. And he sent out a message to all the people whose databases he looks after, and some of them didn't show up until now. Bear in mind, it starts in 8 minutes, and they've just turned up going, so this is for non-prod, right? No. Even I know it's not. And I'm not doing it and haven't been paying any attention. Pretty sure they were doing prod today. As I said, I'm not dealing with it, so I really haven't paid any attention. But the fact that he said, and they've just showed up asking if it's QA, he probably wouldn't have mentioned that if they weren't. So, you know, let's go with the safe assumption. What you doing? I can hear a funny dog noise. What you doing? I thought they were out in the garden. Doesn't help that I have an ear thing in, so it does warp my sense of direction a bit. But I don't know, they were out in the garden. So why did I hear dog noises indoors when you were out in the garden? Hmm? Hmm? Yes, I see small brown nose. Yes, yes it is small brown nose. Hello, small brown nose. You're a good girl. You is. What? You are toasty warm. Have you been in the warms? You have. You have been in the warms, I can tell. For you are a cooked sausage dog. She's not a sausage dog. But you're hot and warm like a nice cooked little sausage. Yes. Yes, you are. You're a cooked sausage. You is. I wonder what's for tea. How ladylike of you. You got hiccups now. Yep, you've got hiccups now. Oh, little one's got hickety-ups. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, how will you cope? What are you looking at, Rory? You're looking really intently at something. Especially as that's where the odd noise was coming from. Hmm? You good boy. He's gone for a lie down. Why don't you go for a lie down? Hmm? Smell a face? Yes, you smell. It's an accurate description. You're my dog. I'm allowed to claim you smell. Stop licking my hands. I'm looking for brains down your ears, but I don't see any. No. No, I see no brains. Come on. Come on. You lie down. Go sleep there. So that we can do some of this. Right. 1, 2, 3. 3, 4, 5. Looks a bit small. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not. Right, you go around there like that. What time is it? 3 o'clock. That's right, I'm keeping an eye on the time because I've got to go out later. So 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not cardboard day. It's normal bin day. And yes, I put the rubbish out for the rubbish people, along with the garden waste for the garden waste people. But no, I still haven't done the cardboard for the cardboard people, because they come next week. We only get, like many things in the UK now, it used to be that every week you'd put stuff out, and obviously originally it was, you had a bin day, you put all the stuff you didn't want out, and they took it. Now you've got to put it on the road, and you've got to have it in the bin. You can't have anything more than that fits in your bin, and God forbid that they don't like it. And anyway, good few years ago now, they introduced a recycle bin. Great, wonderful, all for some of that. Oh, but you've got to wash your recycling. You've got to wash and iron. So if it's anything like a glass jar, it's got to be washed. You can't have the lid on it. You've got to have taken the paper label off it. You've got... if it's clothing, you've got to have washed and ironed it, even though they're just going to chuck it in a big pile. If it, you obviously you can only put certain types of this in, and certain of that, and certain of the other. And God forbid, right? But we have in this county blue bins for recycle, green for normal. And originally they came round collecting both every week. They don't now. It's alternate weeks. Now, as a person who lives alone, that's not so bad for me, because, I live alone. If you had a family with children, how the hell do you survive 2 weeks? Especially, 2 weeks in the summer is bad for everybody, because if you've put out any food stuffs, if you've put, anything remotely, it's gonna stink. It's been cooking inside a plastic bin for a couple of weeks. It's gonna be really ripe. But, for example, if you put out your recycle bin with paper and cardboard in it, they put it on the machine, it tips it into the back of the lorry, because God forbid that the men have to actually tip it and them sling the bags in themselves these days. If it doesn't come out, it's your fault. Oh, well, you can't expect them to put the hand in and pull it out. It is a little ludicrous. Some of the stipulations and rules that go with it, and then of course you can't just take your stuff down the tip, because you've got to have booked an appointment for that, and of course, if you decide to have a clear out over the weekend, you're not going to know when you're going to be ready, for sure, are you? So, but you've got to have booked that. If they have any reason that they think that you're a business, so let's say you're clearing out, I'm clearing out my old house or something, they could go, you've made an awful lot of trips. Yeah. We think you're a business. You now need to pay to take stuff, even though you're not a business. Because, of course, how do you prove you're not a business? Because, of course, a person who is a business could claim they're not a business by just not producing the goods to say that they are a business. It is a... Refuse management here in the UK is a weird thing. They have made it so complicated. And so unnecessarily complicated at that. So I've got such... you see, that's the thing. For me, like you, mine's every other week, so I don't generally have more than a bag full. If I do have more than the bag full, it's exceptionally, it'll be like once a year. It's very uncommon that I have more than my fair share. But my neighbours, who are a couple, they don't even have children. The number of times they've said, have you got any room in your bin so we can put some in yours? Well, there is a good reason why you and I hate the raisins, so that's really not a, I totally get that. But to be honest, most of the food waste, the concept of food waste is a little bit weird for me because, well, I have dogs, and pretty much if I'm not going to eat it, they will. And for the tiny, tiny, tiny leftover amount, it's really not worth keeping it in a green thing. Bear in mind, I'd have to keep it in I say a green thing, we get little green tubs, for want of a better word. They are kind of rectangular, but they're little tubs that were the original recycle bins. And you can put your food waste in it, and then you're supposed to empty it into the blue one, right? But I don't want that hanging around my kitchen for 2 weeks. So I just put it out with whatever's next. Because, duh. I don't tend to burn my waste because I have lived in no burn areas. So I'm not used to being able to burn things. But again, other than Amazon boxes, for which I do have monumental piles, it's not like cardboard's particularly offensive, so I've got quite a big pile of cardboard, to be honest. But, it's like everything. Once it got too much, it stays too much. It's hard to deal with it. And as Nordical has alluded, I do have a bit of a issue. And I do need to deal with it. But as you may know from the Wednesday streams, I get to the end of Wednesday stream, and usually it'll be a late one, and I'll be still here at like 11 o'clock at night, and my brain will go, you didn't do the bins. And if it's recycle week, well, that means I didn't put anything out, doesn't it? I usually do remember to put the normal stuff out, because, well, it's normal stuff. But I usually do succeed in forgetting. That's right. Brain farts. On recycle weeks, because it's just so frustrating that it's alternating and that it's not every week. And for whatever reason, our normal bin days were Thursday, and my brain cannot handle that. My old bin day was Friday, and because it's been a bank holiday this week, our bin day is Friday. My brain gets that. Doing bins on a Thursday night when I've done my last of my normal 4 days a week and I've got a short day tomorrow just feels very, very natural. It all kind of goes with the swing of, the weekend's coming, get ready for the weekend by putting the bins out. It doesn't work Wednesday night because, well, that's the middle of the week. And it seems a stupid day to be having bin day, and my brain just won't accept that it's Thursday. Yeah. Well, as you know, this week was the only week my brain was ready on Wednesday night, and then it was like, I mean, I've been here, 6 years, and I think that's the first time my brain's gone, it's Wednesday, I really ought to do that. I've got reminders, I've got it in my phone, I've got it on Bitch Face, I've got it everywhere, and I can still forget. Speaking of forgetting, that reminds me, well done, the reminders, you've made me check something, because 2 weeks in a row I've done something this morning. I did something this morning, and it's not like me. I want to check something. Hang on. I want to check what times my alarms are set for, because 2 weeks in a row I've been late to work on a Friday. Not that they know, but not the point. I know that I've been late to work. Well, my alarms are set, so I don't know how I managed that. Oh. See, you can't really see this. Let me see if I can tilt it up a bit more. But look, one's off. This is the edge of the pillow. I know it's there. And look, this one grew so long that it took a dive off the edge. I don't know how they do it. They do it very successfully, though. Feels like a lot of bobbins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, you shouldn't. You're out. That's why. So that's 5. That's right. You've got longer again. I'm gonna have to ask my mate to look at my back tonight to see if I've got a rash on it, because there must be a reason it keeps itching. See that, there's dog hairs poking through my jumper. That's also a distinct possibility, because it's not like there aren't dogs, so. I'm off to see a very excitable young lady this evening. Her name is Dottie, and she is very cute. And she will eat me. Literally. She will eat me. Yeah. I don't know about you, Naughty Cat, but one of the things that I find really quite frustrating is the amount of spam mail we get. Now, you know, obviously it varies a lot. But the amount of spam that gets delivered unsolicited, you know, it's not even a "Dear Miss Kimber, we found your name on some address list somewhere." It's "Dear house owner," or even just here's an envelope, you know, here's a piece of paper rammed through the mailbox, right? There's quite a lot of it. And I don't understand because, you know, it's a bit like the spam mail you get in your email to a large extent. You know, really? Do the hit rates really warrant this? Is this really a successful way of doing this? I mean, oh, we're looking to sell houses like yours. Yeah, well, that's nice, but I'm living in it. Oh, you know, I live here, leave me alone. If I was thinking of selling it, I'd have gone looking for an estate agent. I didn't wake up and because you've dropped a thing through the door, go, fuck it, yeah, let's sell the house. You know, I'm pretty sure said no one ever, you know. I mean, the takeout stuff I get. Hey, we're a takeout delivering in your area. Except, we do get the, hey, we deliver to you. And then you phone up, no, they don't. That's really annoying. And it's like, well, you've paid Royal Mail to deliver to our postcode, and you're saying you don't come here. What a waste of your money, you know? My old house gets the most spam. My normal post dude is really good. If there is any post for me, he rings the doorbell and leaves it by the side, leaves it under the porch. Because he knows that sticking it through the door, Rory and Amy will eat it. So I know when he's on holiday or he's off sick because, well, it comes through the door. Now, sometimes it comes through the door and it's really not actually that bad a deal. Other times it comes through the door and, well, they've broken it and or eaten it, destroyed whatever has come. Now, depending on what has come, of course, this could be a problem. If it is liquid-based, for example, sachet or whatever, you know, here's a free sachet of our, poisonous shit to dogs. Well, now the dogs have just bitten it. So, I really do wish that... And before you ask, one thing that I've discovered is that they don't really make blanking plates for PVC doors because, of course, there's nothing for you to screw them into. So I can't even block the bloody thing up. My old house had a sign on the front door says, "Please use post box on wall." We put a post box on the wall. They don't. 90% of people still put it through the front door. And I was kind of standing up, and I watched this guy look at the post box, and slightly. But this guy literally walked up to my old house. Now, as you approach it, the door is parallel to you, and the wall with the post box is right in front of you. Okay? So you really have no excuse. He walked straight past it, turned, put his shit through the letterbox. So I ran to the front door and I said, "Excuse me, can I ask you a question?" He went, "Sure, what?" And I went, "Why did you put this through the door?" And he went, Well, and I went, you looked at the post box and then you put it through the letterbox that says, please do not use post box on wall. Oh, I haven't got time to read it. But I've got to think. I have the same kind of thing with Amazon, to be honest. In my old house and in this house, I set up a thing, and you know, you can fill in a delivery instruction. It says, "Do not post through door." Pretty much, do anything else, but do not post it through the door. And in my old house, there'd been a couple of times I'd been after some USB sticks, and they'd send it, came through the door, the dog get it. So I phoned them up and said, well, I didn't get it. Well, it shows it's delivered, madam. Well, I can tell you I've not got it. And so they went, oh, I'm sorry, and refunded it. Because the dog had eaten it, I reordered it. And that one they didn't put through the door. You know, I don't think it, you know, any more intentionally. I just think it was a different driver. A little while later, I wanted another one. Well, they did the same. Posted it through the door. Dear Amazon, I did not get this. Oh, here's a refund. Now, they were cheap USB drives. Do not get me wrong. But if I've told you, do not post it through my door because the dog will eat it, which is the exact instruction on it. If you post it through this door, I'm going to tell you did not get it because it's in the dog. Now, following on from our endeavour of strip, as a reminder, our endeavour of strip, I won't say fondling it, but I do pick it up and look at it quite a bit. I have ordered more of that thinner cotton because I do like how it went. Now I'm going to have to pick this up and show you it carefully. So turn it over. I have a parcel that they put through the door, which is why I thought about it. But this is a pile of cones of stuff. Now, I need to remind you that it's something like 900 metres of cotton on a spool. So there is a bit of you going, well, that's a heck of a lot of metres, Liz. Yes, it is. But at the same time, I'd rather have too much than run out and discover either that, oh, we don't make that colour anymore. I mean, it's white, probably not. But or the other one, which is the, hey, I'd like some white shit, please. Yes, here you go. Ah, but that white's not the same white as last time. So, buy it in one batch. Buy more than you need, because, well, you can always, it's you know, it's not celery here. It's not going to go off in a week. You know, if you hoard it like a small dragon, hello, welcome to my house. My house, I'll tell you something. My house should be a fire hazard with the amount of yarn, cotton, wool, etc. floating around it. B, should my early demise, I pity the sod who has to clean out my house. I don't know what they will do with it all. I need to retire. That's the crux of my life is I need to retire. I need to retire and do my hobbies more. That's what I need. That's exactly what I need. I need to be signed off long-term sick but fully able, or retired. Don't actually mind which. It is a sound plan. And to be honest, one of my biggest fears in life is that by the time I get to retire, and I can afford to retire, because, you know, hello, this is the UK. By the time I can afford to retire, I won't be fit enough to do anything. That is one of my biggest fears. Because, according to the UK government, when I started work all those years ago, retirement age for me was 60. Okay? Now, admittedly, at that age, 1, 2, 3, 4, that was, a long way away. But it was the goal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then, of course, equal rights, darlings. It's going to be 65. So suddenly, 5 years got slapped on, and that I would have to work 5 more years. No, I don't disagree. Equal rights. You want equal rights? Well, them's equals rights. That's what you fought for. Don't be moaning that you can't have everything, can't have cake and eat it and all that. So, I don't disagree. But at the same time, suddenly, 5 more years on my working lifespan. And again, when you're young, those 5 years seem an eternity. So, sounds a bit rough. Current retirement age for me is 67 now. So they've managed to add 7 years to that. And they keep talking of making it 69. Bear in mind, my father died when he was 70. Now, admittedly, I haven't smoked at all, ever. And he did from pretty much the age of 11 up. So, and... yeah. I'm going to be 53 this year. I do not want to have worked all these years with the blood, sweat and tears and stress and pain and heartache that I have gone through in my working life, because it's been no peach. It was in the early years. It's been no peach more, in the last 20. Pretty much, it's not been a peach since they started judging you by the work you did, and now judge you by how touchy-feely and pretty you are. So, I'm sorry, but you're telling me that I've still got the best part of 14 to 16 years more work. I can't cope with that. I really struggle. My dad retired at 50. And I assumed, because I'd followed all the things that my dad advised me to do, that so would I. Now, if I could have retired nearly 3 years ago, feckin' hallelujah. And, to be honest, my dad and I had what most would consider many morbid conversations, which is why, when he finally did lose his marbles and got, and was in hospital and died a couple of days later, I had full financial and medical power of attorney because we'd already had these conversations and we didn't need to be sorting it out last minute. It was all sorted. His will was up to date. I knew what was in it. It was pretty easy. I'm the only living relative, so it's mine. But well, I've already had one, so, but it is, right? It is, it was really easy for me because my dad and I had these morbid conversations. And one of the conversations I remember having with my dad was that I expected him to live a reasonable bit longer. So maybe somewhere around about I'd be nearly 60 age, right? Because I expected him, his mother and his side of the her side of the family lived to ripe old ages. Well, at least the women did, right? Grandfather died, his father died when I was 11 or 12, something like that, of leukemia. Now, This became a bit of a bone of contention when I got leukemia, because has anyone in your family died of this kind of thing? Yes, but it's not relevant. What do you mean it's not relevant? Well, he watched Hiroshima. Oh, okay. Yeah, that complicates it. But, so his dad died at an earlier age, but my dad was also one of the youngest. So, I don't exactly remember how old my grandfather was when he died, but I could work it out. But he'd retired. He was, doing his own thing, and it was great. My dad retired at 50, partly for health reasons. Worse. Not meaning to suggest he was a worse, but he was a worse. I'm not going to pretend his life was sunshine and rainbows, but it really wasn't that bad, right? But he managed to get it sorted, and, he said to me that he worked out that if he retired at 50, he'd be £5 a month worse off. And I can tell you now, if I was only going to be £5 a month worse off, I'd rip your arm off, right? So, again, can't blame him for that one. He then sat and watched Border Force for 20 years. And that's the bit that killed him. The sitting watching Border Force. The fact that he didn't do any of his hobbies, that he literally, he became a germaphobe. And part of the reason he became a germaphobe was because, and there is a huge amount of me that kind of goes, so I was right then. They diagnosed him as having asthma because they didn't want to tell him he had COPD. But I also said to him, if your inhalers aren't working, that's not what's wrong with you. Now, I'm no medical dude. I mean, I've had plenty of medical shit go wrong with me, so I am aware. I am medically, aware, but I am no doctor. I am no, So, no. But at the same time, I've been an asthmatic since I was a kid, mainly because my parents smoked. Thanks for that, parents. And as a result, having moved away from my parents, I've only really had 2 asthma attacks since then, and both of them were due to stress and exercise at the same time, i.e. when I was grading at karate. So, it's really not that big a deal. Hang on, let me read that I saw. Let me read. But yeah, so, my dad being my dad, took his asthma meds, but it wasn't helping. Well, given that he was on the blue inhaler, and the blue inhaler opens up your airways, and it was not working, suggests that it was not that kind of problem. And I said this to him, and he was like, how dare you suggest, blah, 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 blah. Because pretty much all of his waking day, he'd be watching Border Force with a pipe in his face, right? Smoking away. And I never said that it was his smoking, because, that was definitely never a subject you could say to my father. But it was it does suggest that it's not asthma, Dad. You don't really get asthma at age 60-something, right? And he was kind of like, oh, well, you don't know. They told me it was this. It's like, no, they told you it was that because they didn't want the fight either. Okay, fine. But if it's not working, Dad, because he actually got to a point he had so many inhalers, 1, 2, 3, 4, that the pharmacy wouldn't give him more because they thought he was selling them or giving them away. right? Yay! Anyway, because, you know, so I'm sitting there saying to my dad, you can't have asthma. If asthma meds are not helping, then, well, it's not asthma, Dad. It just isn't. And he wouldn't hear none of it. But he became a germaphobe and claimed that, you know, someone in having a bonfire like 6 streets over was killing him, but not the pipe in his face, right? Bear in mind, as I said, he would get up at like 8 o'clock every morning and kind of have a cup of tea, a few slices of toast, and then ram that pipe in his face till kind of 10 o'clock at night and go to bed, right? So when they took me to a side and kind of went, his lungs are basically turned to tumours, I can honestly say that I was not overly surprised. Because, well, you wouldn't be, right? I've gone wrong somewhere. Because, how do I know I've gone wrong somewhere? Because this point should go to that point, because that's where the zigzag goes, and it hasn't. But I haven't missed any this side, and it doesn't look like I've done 2 in a spot the other side either. So how in blazes did I manage that? Itches. Which pins were easier to see through? It's really hard to see what's going on the other side. Oh, I see what's wrong with it. You were there. There we go. Anyway, so much as I loved my dad, you know, it was no surprise when they said that, you know, it's not asthma, he's basically got tumours for lungs. But he'd been blaming, literally, the pizzeria 200 metres down the high street that was perpetually downwind because the road that my dad lived on was kind of in a wind tunnel area and the wind only ever blew one way through it, and it was, well, Dad was always upwind from the pizzeria. So, you know, but it was the pizzeria that was trying to kill him, not that. Some dude having a bonfire when he was walking the dogs. It must have been him, it must be him, it must be him. It was never this damn pipe that was in his face, right? So, you know, he did have an earlier demise than likely would have done if he had perhaps gone to have the x-ray they suggested nearly a year before he died. Because, well, you know, they did try and look and see what the problem was, because even they obviously were getting the idea that perhaps it wasn't what they thought. But he wouldn't go, and by the time he did go, which was only after I made him promise me and made him write it down, because I knew he wouldn't remember. He was not normally forgetful. And I need to point out, he was not a forgetful man. He was mentally still very, very good. But the weekend before the weekend before he moved in, so he got rushed. He went into hospital. He didn't get rushed really, but he did call an ambulance on himself. I phoned him up because normally we spoke on a Sunday morning, and he was late. And in the end, I phoned him up and kind of went, "Hello," and I got a lecture. What kind of time do you call this? Now, bear in mind, it was midday, so it was an hour later than our normal phone call. He thought it was midnight, even though the sun was doing the vampire in the sky thing and burning your eyeballs and you couldn't go outside. He was convinced it was midnight. And I'd been up all night trying to fix a programming problem because a friend of mine who has a stupid Macintosh, bloody hate Macs, couldn't run the thing that I'd been working on, and I'd spent the whole of that night trying to work how to make this thing work for them, right? And that's right, I was just getting carried away because I stopped. And so I'd been up all night, I was a bit tired, and my dad having a go was kind of a bit hard, and I didn't take it very well. I was quite upset. But he was slurring. His speech sounded like he was drunk, but my dad, like me, didn't drink. So I said, "Can you do me a favour, Dad?" "Well, sure, what's the problem?" "Can you write down on a piece of paper to book an appointment with the doctor?" "Why?" "You're not sounding yourself, Dad. It doesn't sound quite right." And he obviously did, and the doctor saw him and obviously agreed with me. I wanted to do an x-ray. And he did finally go for it. And he did phone me when they had he did phone me and he said, "I need you to be prepared. They found a growth." "Okay, how big?" "I don't really know," says Dad. But he did tell me, so he was not unaware. What does co-worker want now? But, it means that, I look at, so my dad, in my eyes, died early, and largely to his own fault, because, with all the time that he gained in life at 50 to sit there and, to sit around and do things that he enjoyed, he didn't. He didn't go out taking walks, taking photos of beautiful things. He didn't do any more of his tapestry or embroidery. He didn't make any more of those fecking little wooden boat things that he loved making. He didn't spend time in his shed making wooden things. He sat watching Border Force. Well, if you've ever endured British daytime TV, that is a reason to be at work. It's how you tell if you're ill or not. If you can watch, daytime TV and not feel, God, I want to kind of pitch myself off a bridge, then you're sick enough to be home, right? How come I've still got 2 left? It's because you need an extra one. What's the matter, Rory? But yeah, so, but otherwise, my family lives generally quite a reasonably long life. But at the same time, due to the fact that I've already had cancer twice, I'm not going to hedge my bets on that one. I've also got back issues due to having large boobage. So again, I don't expect that to fare too well in later life. So it is one of those things, is that I'm under no illusion that my later life is going to be a bed of roses. So, you know, retiring at 67, I don't think I'm going to be fit for crap by the time I'm 67. I'll have to do kind of, I mean, to be fair, obviously, you know, at the age of 67, my dad would have sat for 17 years watching TV at that point. Sure, by the time I get to retire, maybe that's all I really will be fit for, but I'll have been working until then, whereas my dad didn't. You know, he didn't do a thing. It's not entirely true. He did, I would say, write a book. That's not really kind of how it works. He compiled a list of all the ballets that the Royal Ballet had done and collected the programs and put them in on his computer so that they thought it. The book basically was the collection of programs summed up. Okay, it's the best way to explain what that book was. So it was a very concise list. Do not get me wrong. And he put quite a bit of effort in, and obviously had to buy a lot of the programs. But it's a very niche thing. It's not kind of a Sunday read, you know. It is very much the only someone who's truly interested in it will even remotely want that. And even then, really, you're not going to read it. You might use it as reference material, but you're not going to read it, you know. But he did that. And that did take a fair bit of his time. He also did our family tree. Got far too many people on the family tree. How accurate it is, yeah. Let's not answer that one. Because the answer is no, it's not. It can't be. Can't be as accurate as he seems to make out it is. Because there weren't records back then, Dad. But, you know, he got a lot of our family tree. But he didn't really do anything. He stopped all the creative stuff that he had done. He stopped all the stuff that would have brought him a lot of joy. And, you know, I don't really want that in my life. I don't want to do that. But at the same time, if I could retire today, I'd do it now. I really would. Because I've got so many things I want to do. So many hobbies and things I want to make and things I want to learn and prove I've learned, kind of thing. Because you can read about how to do something and it will sound perfectly reasonable, but it's only when you actually do it that you know if you were right or not. Much like the joining of the strips. I know how they did it now, and I know I haven't got the patience to do it, so that's not going to happen. I'm not going to be doing that one in a hurry. But I did at least do a little bit that proved I knew I was right and that what I worked out was right. It just then fell apart, so I have no proof anymore. And I don't really want to redo it just to prove I was right when I lost sanity points doing the 1 inch of bit I did. I have thought of a way to make it slightly more stable, but only slightly more stable. I need to scratch my back again. I actually think it's my nerves. I think it's that because there are bits of my back that are kind of numb, and I think it's occasionally the nerves wake up and kind of go twing, and that's what makes it feel like it's itching, even though it's not. scratch. Now, doesn't really matter which way I go for this. This is my dreaded square. This is the square that I struggle with the most. But it is also 4 o'clock. That's a stupid thing to do. Yes, Lace Lady is here. Lace Lady is disputing how much more she can do because she's got to go out in a bit. But we'll do a bit more. I don't normally like leaving a section half done, but it's only because it makes my brain fart when I come back to it. There's no reason I can't leave it half done. So let's do a bit more. I really must put a battery in my clock on the wall. Because it still says that it's 25 to 5 and has done for about a week now, so I really ought to put battery in it. Oh, goodness gracious. Wretched animals. Okay. torchon in there somewhere. Back in here. Actually, while I remember, let's put you back in there. Right. So let's shuffle you all round. What time is it? 4:10. Grab 4 of you. start the next row. So, as I've got to go out in about 20 minutes, I need to do some dog things. I'm going to have to leave it for here. Now, it's a bit early for me. I appreciate that, and I apologise. But hey, it's not like I go out very often. I shall be back tomorrow for my usual late stream, so that'll normally start in about 30 hours time. And I will likely have done some more of my strip, so that I can practice another join, because I have an idea of how to improve it, potentially. I did say potentially, there's a reason it's only a potential. And if I'm right, it's a good thing. If I'm wrong, in short, I've thought of a way of making this one maybe more invisible. So, gotta try that one, haven't I? Because again, if I'll try it. If I'm losing sanity points, we've still got the way that we've already kind of got. And it's not that I hate the way that we've got, but if I can do it pretty invisibly, you kind of want to, right? You really do. So I'm going to call it quits for today, but take my photo, the obligatory end of job photo. And as I say, it's very unusual for me to leave it in the middle, so there's no way I can use this picture ever again. But I will be back. I hope you have a pleasant evening. I'm off to go and get fed, which is nice. It is nice not to have to cook your own tea. As long as it's not got green vegetables in it. Anyway, I hope you have a good time, and I will see you all, hopefully, tomorrow. Bye-bye.